What's going on, boxing fans? It's your boy, Cool Kind of Boxing, coming back at you with another boxing video for the boxing heads and the boxing mind. I know it's been a long time. I should have left you with a video to step to, but make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for more hardcore boxing content. Now, the Gary Russell Jr. versus Mark Magsayo fight. And I was kind of down about it because Gary Russell is a great fighter. He's been a long reigning champion for the WBC. But we all know that Gary Russell has had a lot of problems with the WBC and the PBC and getting fights, getting recognized. And he had a lot of fighters to, what I'm saying, to really duck him because he's such a great fighter. And we know the boxing system. We know how it is. It don't want to give the black fighters the opportunity to become, to break records and the opportunity to, to be on top. Like for instance, like the opportunities they give Lomachenko. He can lose a fight. He can lose two fights and have a championship opportunity, right after he lose two times, And that's the kind of system that, people are always gaslighting about, like this is not happening. They try to, ignore these things like they're not happening. Like, they're not trying to downplay black fighters. But Gary Russell is in that system. And, not only does he alienate himself from the boxing system, but he also alienates himself from black people because Gary, he says a lot of things about Devin Haney. He says things about different fighters, him and Devin Haney has a great beef. They were supposed to have like been in negotiations for a fight and it never came to fruition. And I think at the time, Gary Russell was going after Terrence Crawford because they had they had a beef in the past during the Olympics trials, and they had their little thing, and it's just Gary. He's very combative, he's very opinionated, and it turns off the powers that be, the political pressures behind the boxing system. He gets on the wrong side of that. So, you have Deontay Wilder. He's a part of that kind of conversation, that kind of black pride thing. And they don't like that in boxing. And they want to see your downfall. So, you have the system lining up against you. Gary Russell should never have taken this fight with Mark Magsayo because they saw the perfect storm coming when they understood that Gary Russell was injured. And, they switched out the opponent, brought in somebody they thought they could put in there to rob Gary Russell because the situation, was perfect for Mark Magsayo. So, you heard when I watched the fight, okay, and I figured that, Gary Russell would beat this guy anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because, who is Mark Magsayo, right? And I feel if he's a Manny Pacquiao fighter, and of course the business of boxing, they want to build on that Filipino, that fan base that's fanatical about boxing. So we've seen the setup, and we've been watching boxing for a while. So when I heard the announcers just start playing up everything Mark Magsayo was doing, even though it was a close fight, and Gary Russell hurt his shoulder. I thought that Mark Magsayo didn't really do enough to win the fight, especially from a long reigning champion like Gary Russell. But with the business of boxing power behind Mark Magsayo, you could see that they were, playing up his every move, and the guy performance and his ability to box just wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he was young. He moved forward, but he didn't have effective pressure. You know what I'm saying? With Gary having one arm, it was more of an even match. But I thought that Gary showed defense and footwork that was way superior to anything that Mark Masayo could even do. You know what I'm saying? Because Gary was getting out of those corners, he was countering Mark Masayo a lot. And Mark Messiah couldn't even when he knew that Gary only had one arm, he couldn't take advantage of it because he's just not that good of a fighter. If he was a special fighter, he would have been, all over Gary Russell Jr. and he would have been able to take him out or at least hurt him. And he never hurt Gary during the fight. And that's weird because he's supposed to be the next Manny Pacquiao, and the way the announcer was playing up the action that wasn't happening. So that's how you knew that the fix was in, because everything Mark Masayo did, what I'm saying, they created, these fake punch stats, like the jab, situation where they were saying like they were kept crying out, like they were trying to really convince people that Gary Russell, wasn't throwing any jabs, and they was trying to make it seem like Mark Masayo was dominating and he was throwing jabs and he wasn't. So even when they did the replays, the replays didn't even support what the commentators were saying. You know what I'm saying? They had to correct themselves during the reviews of whatever action they was talking about. Didn't support what they were saying, and we've been seeing a lot of that on Showtime, where they'll bring up punches and you'll see where the punch missed, or and none of the punches connected, and it's just like, wow, it's like they really pushing for Mark Masayo, what I'm saying, to win this fight, and they're trying to convince casual boxing fans that that's what it is. And I just thought that Gary, did enough to retain his belt, but he didn't get the benefit of the doubt of, like, Earl Spence Jr. when he fought Sean Porter, what I'm saying, with the one knockdown, or Canelo. If this was, can you imagine if Canelo was in a fight like this, in a close fight like this? Canelo would get the respect. He would get the benefit of the doubt, even though in many of his matches, it looked like he lost. In many of them, Triple G, Laura fight. So, yeah, the Trout fight. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so why couldn't they give Gary Russell the same benefit as a champion, the benefit of the doubt? But the business of boxing was backing Mark Masayo. But I do blame Gary Russell for coming in and giving the PBC and them the opportunity to beat him, to screw him over like that, and he should have never done it. But that's all I got on this fight. And I would like to see, Gary Russell fight, Colbert, if he's going to fight Colbert. Or I'd like to see him fight Javante Tank Davis or Devin Haney, move up, maybe Shakur Stevenson. But I don't want to make this video too long. That's all I got on this fight. And, make sure you smash that like button and, I'm saying, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.